Watu wengi wanauza, and a lot of people are salespeople without knowing they're salespeople. As a salesperson, your job is to generate revenue. Not fluffing. So we need to change that narrative. Kwamba sales, it's a game of convincing now.
It's not about convincing, yeah.
Or manipulating people. It's not, because great salespeople are good listeners. Good listeners ni kwa sababu unatakiwa uelewe matatizo.
Can you tell me about a time when you were struggling with sales?
First, you can't avoid a no in any sales. Au kupigwa chenga. That's part of the deal. I always tell people, no one will buy from you because I know you. Sales is demonstrating value, but it doesn't mean the value will be relevant to all the people that will demonstrate.
You said marketing is not a real job. Tell me about that.
Clients wanahitaji vitu viwili. In any market that you go in the world, people want a better and an amazing.
Kama unapata changamoto za kuclose deals, kubuild trust, au shorten the sales cycle, because sometimes it just takes too long before you get the deal, then this conversation is for you. Because our guest today is a master in the art of selling. And we're going to take a deep dive into B2B as well as B2C sales. We're going to take a deep dive with regards to how to navigate difficult conversations and difficult customers. But also, we're going to learn that how a really, really, really good salesperson at their core is actually a good listener. Fundi wetu wa kutupiga msasa siku ya leo ni Kipimo. So, as a communication expert, who's also a salesperson, who's also a strategist, who's also a humanitarian, there's many things I've been learning, especially in the world of consulting. And one of the core things that I learned is that you can do everything that you want to do and dream as much as you want to, but if there's no sales, there's no business. If there's no sales, there's no business. Sometimes when we're starting things or we're ideating things, we can get too lost in the details of delivery, which are important because it's what you promise when you're doing your campaigns. But we sometimes don't put enough effort towards figuring out how exactly do I get my first customer, then my second customer, and then my third, my fourth, my fifth, my 100th, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our guest today has a cooler title than salesman. He's a revenue man. And this is a gentleman I've known tangu nilivyo miada. Mimi miada when 2017. And it's been an interesting sight to see. The journey, I'm pretty sure it's not smooth, but has been very, very nice. He's inspiring, he's motivational. He's sold everything from media to luxury travel to logistics and mobility. He's in tech, but he's also just a great conversationalist, a great teacher, a great brother, a great partner to someone else, I'm sure. And our guest today is Kipimo. Karibu Kipimo.
Thanks, brother.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Karibu sana.
It's been quite some time. I know we planned to have this more than a year ago, right?
Yeah, more than 2 years ago.
More than 2 years ago.
Yeah, we've been talking about this tango 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some time. So It's a pleasure to be here today. Bro.
Good things take time. So
yeah.
Good things take time. Yeah. Kipimo, we were talking before we started recording. Now, you said something that I think is particularly interesting that I'd like you to dive deep into. First of all, we are in agreement, kwamba, no sales, no business. I have personal experience, lakini pia kuna watu wa karibu ambao tunajaribu kufanya mishemishe mbalimbali. And we take sales so seriously kiasi cha kwamba if you don't have the right person, first of all, employee number one should be good at sales. Yeah, not delivery. They should be good at sales. Figure out the delivery first. But two, you, the person who's starting something, should be the one selling, which is why in consulting, partners do the sales. Sindio? Because the function of BizDev is broad. It's not just sales. But sales come as sales, the partners should be able to do the sales. And usually, when the partner can sell, the firms grow, in consulting at least, which is my world. Sindio? But in the process of that conversation and aligning with you deeply, you said marketing is not a real job. Tell me about that.
That's an interesting point ya kwanza nayo actually. Uzuri ni kwamba umezungumzia swala la kwamba jinsi gani hata a founding person ambao leo mfano tutumie labda naked, as a founder naked, ukirun naked without any sales, you'll dry out, brother. Nguvu damu zote zitakuishia mwilini. Na ili kuweza kurun a business lazima runway yako iwe kubwa. Unawezaje kuwa na runway ambayo iko sustainable?
Ukisema runway unamaanisha cash flow?
Runway, kuanzia cash, lakini vitu vyote, especially labda tuzungumzie cash, kwa sababu unapoanzisha biashara leo utakuwa na $1 million labda into your bank account, right?
Amen.
Utaanzisha biashara, utafanya the setup, but hiyo $1 million endapo utaweza kugenerate mapato yote a.k.a. revenue, unaweza kusustain kwa muda gani? Inawezekana ule muda ambao unaweza kudumu ndio tunaita runway.
Okay.
Kama unaweza kukaa mwaka mzima bila kufanya hata mauzo ya $5, hiyo ndio runway yako.
Okay.
Na nimefurahi sana ulipozungumzia kitu kimoja kwamba inabidi mtu wa kwanza kumwajiri awe salesperson. Of course, tunaweza tukasema kumwajiri, mimi nitashauri ni kwamba ukiwa a founder, the first skill set ambao unatakiwa kujua ni kuuza. And wewe unatakiwa ujiconsider kama the first salesperson of your business.
Absolutely.
Kwa sababu zifuatazo. Ili uweze kujua kwamba bidhaa yako au product ina fit kwenye market, lazima uweze kuwa na watu wanaokutana na watu au kuwauzia watu, na pindi wanapowauzia wale watu waweze kuwapa feedback au mrejesho kwa kila siku, kuweza kujua bidhaa inahitaji kusolve matatizo yao, kwa sababu lengo kuu la mtu kununua bidhaa au kitu chochote ulimwenguni ni kwa sababu ana shida. Ukiwa nauza matunda, mimi nahitaji matunda na wewe unahitaji pesa, kwa nakupa pesa, unanipa pesa, nakupa matunda and so on.
Yeah.
So kwa nini nilisema hiyo swala la kwamba marketing? Ukiangalia kwenye aspect ya biashara nyingi ulimwenguni, wanafanya marketing kama part ya kuwafanya watu waweze kustick to on top of their mind.
Top of mind awareness.
Na hilo nitazungumzia sababu zingine ambazo labda za kuweza kusupport hilo. Mfano, tukitoka kwenye barabara yetu hii hapa, hii ni Mwai Kibaki, right? Ukitoka hapa hadi Victoria, kuna matangazo, kuna billboard zaidi ya 200. Kwa mara mwisho kuchukua decision kutokana na ad ulioiona barabarani ilikuwa ni lini? Watu wengi watakwambia ni mara chache sana, inawezekana ni 1% au 2%. Lakini kuhusu kujua ile bidhaa walijua. Lakini je, call to action ambao ndo lengo la kila biashara, kuweza kupata mtu ambaye atakayeweza kununua, inawezekana isitokee. Kwa hiyo ni sababu mojawapo ya kuzungumzia kwamba marketing is not a real job, but it doesn't mean kwamba marketing is not important. Ni muhimu. Lakini unapokuwa na angalia kwenye upande wa kurun biashara, lazima uweze kuangalia kitu gani ambacho ni muhimu zaidi, ambacho cha kwanza, cha pili, cha tatu na cha mwisho. Firm nyingi wanakuwa baada ya kuwa kwamba washajijengea au washa establish a base ya watu ambao wana uhitaji wa bidhaa yao. Washajua ni matatizo yapi ambao labda hao watu wanaohitaji bidhaa yao wanahitaji. Wakisha solve vitu vyote, then wanaweza kwenda kwenye stages zingine ambazo ni including marketing, kuhakikisha kwamba hao watu tuweze kuwa retain sasa baada ya kuwa nao. Ili kuwa retain lazima tuweze kuhakikisha tunawapa kitu chochote on top of mind. So with that fact, nitaweza kusema kwamba it's not a real job, kwa sababu it's more of adding something on top of a layer ambao tayari ipo. Lakini sales, na mimi upande wangu nitazungumzia kwamba I always tell people kwamba sales is a true job, kwa sababu as a salesperson your job is to generate revenue, not fluffing. Tumekutana na watu wengi ambao they'll come and wanazungumzia, watakwambia nimefanya hivi na hivi, but with no sales you'll dry out. You run out of business. We have seen couple of business ambao wame run out kwa hiyo. So just to clarify, I know a lot of marketing people says you can come into my inbox and kill me. I'm not saying you guys are not doing an amazing job. You're doing an amazing job.
You're just not really doing a job.
But if you have to compare itself to some other important job, I think you guys will be the last one.
That's very interesting. So just to challenge your thought, or is it really even challenging? Because I'm not disagreeing about the importance of sales. No sales, no business. It is what it is. And the business of business is business. So no sales, no business.
Of course.
So the skill set, the tactic, the etiquette that you need to be able to do sales, depending on the industry, of course, B2B na B2C ni tofauti, lakini ni muhimu sana. Lakini I don't necessarily agree with thinking that marketing is not a real job. And I'll tell you why. Not because I'm a marketer.
Okay.
Actually, fun fact. Actually, fun fact. So I have a gentleman who has become much more of a mentor than a brother. And one of the things we meet like 4 times a year. And one of the things I kind of niambia, Elisha, umebadilika. Do you still like what you do? Nikamwambia, why? Akaniambia, because you know you don't really do marketing. Your business does marketing. You don't do marketing. You do sales. And it's true. It's true. So ndo maana sipingani na lakini
Okay.
I want to challenge that thought because this is my opinion.
Okay.
First of all, the internet has changed the way we buy, and therefore it also changes the way we sell. Sell, actually, not sale. It's changed the way we buy, and therefore it influences the way we sell. How? For instance, because of the internet being a medium that enables us to get access to information with ease, and a lot of it, the customer is more informed, especially a customer who's looking for the thing. Because kuna tofauti nini ambaye atafuti, si ndio? The one who's looking for the thing ana uwezo wa kufanya tafiti zake mwenyewe ambazo zikamsaidia kumwelekeza ni kitu gani ambacho kinamfaa yeye kulingana na mahitaji ambayo yeye anahisi anayo, whether or not they're right about that too. So because it's changed the way we sell, somewhere along the line, I don't know the exact year because we're evolving differently with foreigners, marketing is a function of lead generation. So first of all, do you agree that marketing is a function of lead generation?
In marketing nowadays, there's something that they call performance marketing. And performance marketing, it's more of a ile ambayo tunaita search engine SEO. Actually, ulizungumzia uzuri swala la internet.
Yes.
Leo nikihitaji labda simu, nikienda online.
So that's performance marketing.
Yeah, performance marketing.
So like search ads, etc.
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, so your question was like,
I'm saying,
if I agree.
So I'm saying marketing, lead generation is a function of marketing more than it is sales. Because lead generation, the process of prospecting and funneling potential leads and then redirecting them to, or at least getting them to a stage where now the conversation needs to be had. Because the best sales are the sales that are had when a conversation is had, where I assess what you need. We see that if we're a good fit or not, if our solution or service or product is a good fit for you. And if it is, and we identify that, we present it to you in ways that make sense to the problem that you need to get fixed. What marketing does. So for instance, marketing doesn't close the deal. Sales does. You got to have a striker. Yeah. Sales is your Ronaldo. Yeah. Lakini wale wachezaji 10 wale wana umuhimu sana. Sales is your Ronaldo, okay? I don't really know football, so I can only say Ronaldo. I don't really watch football. But marketing, for instance, let me tell you what the function of marketing is. The function of marketing is to make sure that, let me talk to you from a sales point of view. Most people that we reach out to sell to, most of the time, especially when it's cold outreach, they weren't looking to buy. The function of marketing is to make sure that this person who was not looking to buy, when they get to a point where they're looking to buy, they think of you. And henceforth, marketing, when coupled with sales, is very, very powerful because it makes the sales job easier. Even you take the best striker in the world. I'm just going to use football because it's an easy example amongst men. when you take a striker ambaye ni mkali na ukamweka kwenye timu ya kiduanzi, afungi magoli. Striker huyo mkali umweke kwenye timu nzuri, anafunga sana magoli kwa sababu ana focus kwenye the revenue generation, which is the thing that drives. Kwa sababu mwisho wa siku matokeo ni nini? 3-0. Matokeo ni 3-0, sio chenga, sio makofi, matokeo ni 3-0. Lakini hiyo 3-0 inaweza isipatikane bila marketing. Na ndio maana kwa mfano, when you look at, for instance, brands that have been able to successfully lean very heavily into their branding So much so that the branding supersedes the product. Apple, it's marketing, not sales.
Okay. Nitaweza kuzungumzia vitu viwili. So when we look at sales, tunaangalia zipo sales aina mbili. Kuna B2B na B2C. Na ni mfano ambao nitautoa from experience, actually, the journey. B2C marketing, it's quite easier and it's simple because you're selling to the consumer, a quite wide open market. So if today you go and run an ad for X company online, kuhusu watu kwamba tuseme ukipita dukani kwetu utapata 20% discount mfano, those are the benefit that will come if you buy X and X, and all the that we call the benefit or the value proposition. That will generate leads, because we are talking about lead generation and how marketing is, how lead generation is part or incorporated into marketing, right? So you're more likely to end up being successful in that angle, especially on the B2C. But when you look to the B2B side, it's quite complex. And when you run either it's performance marketing or any other way of marketing running it, it becomes more complex because it's not a decision that has to be driven by emotion, but a decision that has to be driven with facts, logic, until a business make a decision. And with that, from experience, actually, most of leads that end up coming from the performance marketing, excuse my French, but it's full of shit, which is actually bring us to the same conversation. Who can unlock the growth of any B2B sales? Are salespeople. And why salespeople? Because salespeople, when they're selling to a business, for instance, they get a chance. One point that you said, at the end of the day, people want to talk to people. They end up getting a chance to listen to those customers, to understand what are the challenges wanazopitia kila kunapokucha, na wanawapa solution. Ndio maana wakati mwingine nikoga na itaga timu yangu kwamba you guys are not sales people. You guys are consultant. Because a consultant, kazi yake kubwa ni kuelewa shida za mtu, na uzuri uko in consulting field, and then ukishaelewa matatizo yake,
kama daktari,
japokuwa kama ninavyosemaga consulting is not a real job as well. So consulting you go the same as well. Unaelewa matatizo ya mtu, afu unaambia safisha hapa, and then unaondoka. That's the same, right? But in our case, when it comes to a lot of things, especially B2B sales, ambao haiko more into that angle, ni kwamba wanaelewa shida, wanampa solution. Na hiyo solution inasikana ikuwa ni solution, labda ni technology solution. Inasikana labda ipata hiyo consulting, labda kumshauri, kwa sababu wakati mwingine ndio ni kweli mtu asingejua kwamba huu uchafu hapa in a long run unaweza kuathiri labda jinsi gani ya kurun biashara yake, itaweza kumuathiri, right? So kwa kifupi ambacho naweza nikasema, ni topic ambayo inaweza kuwa a bit controversial, lakini ukiangalia kwenye different angle, utaweza kuona jinsi gani kila kitu kina umuhimu wake, lakini kipi ni muhimu zaidi. Ndio maana nimezungumzia kwamba kwenye ile real job, ninaposema real job namaanisha kitu ambacho kinacho bring impact ambayo kampuni inataka. Trust me. Biashara yoyote ile, hata hapa Naked MSASA, we can do all we can, but at the end goal kinacho matter ni revenue. Because without revenue, you won't be able to pay the office space. You won't be able to expand your business. Lakini pia, you can't scale without generating enough revenue. Leo hii, ukija kwa invest, naambia I need 5 million. They don't look at how much is your brand known, or how big is your brand known in a particular market. You know the number one question they'll ask you? Elisha, can we see your books? And what are they looking in the books? Your numbers. And what is the number one source or reason why your books will have some amazing number? Nothing else. Sales. So, naelewa umuhimu, kuna vitu vingi sana kwenye kurun biashara, na marketing ni kitu ambacho kinahitajika, lakini ukiangalia kwenye core, I'll still stand on to that. Na nafikiri ni kwamba founder wengi, they need to learn from the na watu wengi wanafanya sales actually without knowing kwamba they are doing sales.
Also,
mfano kama ulivyosema hapo, na ni mfano ambao tulikuwa the conversation ambao we had before offline kabla podcast. Na nikana kuuliza, tuzungumzie labda leo kwa Tanzania consulting firm ambazo tunazijua, tuzungumzie labda Big 4. Lini umewahi kuona labda Big 4 anamtafuta vice president of sales?
Hamna.
Hakuna.
The partners sell.
So it doesn't mean kwamba they don't do sell. They need to close clients because some clients comes and go, but you need to replace clients.
You need
But
to replace, you need to
our
retain.
all the time, they'll reach out to friend, they'll have a coffee meeting with a friend to show how they can really solve their problem.
Yeah.
Ni the same hata kwenye law firm pia.
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends who actually ni partner kwenye law firm zao. Na naulizaga siku zote, dude, do you know that you're a salesperson? Because at the end of the day, wanakuja na profile yao, wanakuonyesha jinsi gani wanaweza kusolve matatizo yao, yako and so on. So, watu wengi wanauza, na a lot of people are sales people without knowing they're sales people. Na mfano ambao tu umetoa mwenyewe, one of your mentor Musema.
Yeah.
You used to talk with a guy, you talk with a guy like 4 times in a year.
Yeah.
Until the time the guy asks you like, hey, do you know that you're not a marketer?
Yeah.
You're a salespeople.
Yeah.
A salesperson.
Yeah.
So, ni vitu kama hivyo ambavyo naweza nikazungumzia.
So what does that mean?
It means for you to excel, you need to master and understand in everything that you do. You need to understand and master the art of selling. Because selling, you can't avoid selling and you can't run away. Either you run a small shop, Yamangi, or you will have a dream of building a multi-billion business. The number one skill set that you need to know is actually the ability to communicate or to present whatever you are building to the audience so that they can really get the value. Because at the end of the day, no matter what product we are selling, we don't just sell the product. We sell what we call value proposition. If today we are buying this mic, you didn't buy this mic because you like it. You actually bought this mic because of the value that this mic is giving
me. Yeah.
We'll get an amazing sound here. The voice will be clear and all. So it's really important for everyone, regardless what you are doing, you need to know how to sell. There's one guy that I really love. He used to be the chairman of NetApp. So NetApp is one of the early tech company in the world. This guy is called, I can't remember his name, but he said this to his engineering team and to all the entire team, like everything. And NetApp, it's a multi-billion dollars company in the US. And this is what he said. Your number one job that we hired you to do here is sell. Your job description, the job that is actually on job description, that's the second job.
Everybody should sell.
Everybody should sell.
Yeah.
So it's really important for people to embrace that. And once you know that, you'll unlock more door.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. For instance, at Naked, we don't have a copywriter because everybody is supposed to do copy.
Yeah, okay.
Copy is how we sell. You get? Because we tell stories for a living.
Yeah.
We literally sell ideas and tell stories for a living. So I totally agree with you that. Yeah. Can you tell me a bit about your sales journey? Where did you start? Umepita wapi? Umefanya kazi gani? Ilikuwaje kwanza kufanya sales? Unajua asilimia kubwa sana watu pia ambao wako kwenye sales sales is the easiest job to get into because especially entry level jobs, mshahara ni mdogo, the incentive is commission. Tell us about that a little bit. Every once in a while, tunapokea feedback kwamba podcast yetu ni ngumu kumeza. Ila sasa, tunafanyaje? Maana uhalisia wa stories za watu waliofanikiwa, ukiangalia na ukidadisi na ukiwauliza maswali mazuri, unagundua kwamba it wasn't easy. Kuna ugumu ndani yake, kuna sacrifices ndani yake. Na ndio maana tunaendelea kukukaribisha kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure.
At the time, actually, I started working in sales more than 13 or 14 years ago on entry level after struggling to get a job. And then I ended up working for sales and I was selling.
Degree umesoma nini?
Business. Actually.
Admin?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I ended up getting a job that is actually selling lubricant. I used to sell lubricant and spare part at a small firm.
Okay.
Before that lubricant that you know that I was selling, that I used to sell before that.
Wait, what?
So, when we met, actually, before the company that I used to work for, I used to sell lubricant as well. And for a well-known brand.
We met at East Africa?
East Africa, yes, before East Africa. I used to sell lubricant for 2 companies.
Okay.
But the first company, I used to sell lubricant and spare part and engine, generators.
Car lubricant, Saidi. Focus.
Yeah. So I did that for a year and a half. But after working for that company, I can't mention the name. I moved to the second company, which is actually a little bit of multinational.
Okay.
The job that I did there was actually to oversee their sales division because their core focus was actually mainly into enterprises, especially with logistics. And I was like, you know what?
Makampuni yenye
Magari yale makubwa, fleets kubwa.
Yeah.
Ndio ilikuwa focus yao kwa sababu product yao ilikuwa a bit expensive, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, we can really unlock this market. That was the beginning. I did with them for a year. I grew their brand for like 5 or 10x, if I'm not mistaken. And from there, I was...
Sorry, did you grow their brand or you grew their revenue?
Their revenue, actually.
Okay.
Their revenue for more than 10x. And then from there, after selling like 3-4 years of selling like lubricant, I moved now to advertising and selling radio, TV, magazeti. Nakumbuka, that's where we met, actually.
That's where we met,
if you remember.
Yeah.
You gave me a deal to advertise on a Facebook page. That's around 9 years ago or 8 years ago. No one will go and pay you to just do anything.
Do you know because
media.
of that gig, people started creating rate cards? You know, there were no rate cards.
Yeah, for social media.
For social media.
Yeah.
9 years ago.
Yeah, we didn't have that. So Elisha actually gave me a sponsorship. By then, used to mention
Zoom Tanzania.
Yeah. And I was working for East Africa TV. And back then, Instagram wasn't popular. It was just Facebook and Twitter.
Facebook and Twitter,
And East Africa TV was like really, really big.
Yes.
So I had to sell that to Elisha. And thanks for that deal, man.
No problem.
That reel was really, really amazing. I still have a picture of me and Rogers sitting in your office waiting for you in the boardroom. I still have that picture. You can't believe it.
Wow.
So from there, I actually did some advertising for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Selling TV. I was selling across TV, radio, newspaper, and even social media. And the fun story about my journey even for EATV, I was the first person as well, back then, 8 or 9 years ago, to bring on top of you, to end up signing a deal. We used to have this show, it used to be called Kikangoni. It never used to get a sponsor online, and I had to bring Vodacom back then. They became a sponsor.
Nice.
So I did that for like 3 years, almost 3 years. And then it was a new change. I decided to go into tech. I went to a tech company, which is quite a big brand across the market. I started like the first 3 years, I didn't do sales at all.
What were you doing?
I was doing operation 100%, making sure that everything from implementation, execution, making sure the business is running properly. I went to even launch a second city for them in Tanzania. And I was responsible for that particular region for a year. And then I came back to that. And then after 3 years, the same company, because it's a group, they decided to go into B2B. And from there, I took that challenge. That's almost 5 years ago. And I got a privilege to oversee the operation. Up to now, I think in Africa, where we operate, only 2 countries that haven't been at a certain point responsible, but most of their country where they operate have been overseeing their B2B operation.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And wait, do you do sales now or do you just still do mostly operation?
So when the shift that I told you happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it was actually from B2C, because their B2C is what we call summer operation. Because even in B2B, there's still operation. It can be sales operation, no matter how we call it. So it's the B2B side of the business is 100% sales.
Yeah.
So I'm a sales guy.
Yeah.
And I still do sales.
Okay. All right. In sales, especially B2B sales, the sales cycle is very long. What do you usually do to make it shorter?
I think it depends on how you classify the B2B, because it actually can be divided into several segments from the enterprise side, from SME and all that. And most of the enterprises, especially in technologies, because I'm in tech sales, we call, we usually have those dynamics as well. For enterprises, sometimes it'll take you a year to close a deal with the government of Tanzania if you're working for Microsoft, right?
Yeah.
But if your core focus is actually around SME or mid-sized enterprises, it's actually the only way you can shorten that sales cycle. It's actually to see or to understand what are the biggest challenge enterprises are facing on a daily basis. But that's not enough. And that's why I'll jump into the next topic, but to explain you a bit more. Selling, it's an art of understanding someone's problem and give them a solution or give them a remedy. Let's say today you're having a flu. You know what you need? It's something to cure that flu that you're having. But how am I going to be able to know that Elisha today is having a flu? There's a process.
Mm-hmm.
And the best process is for me to understand.
You diagnose.
Okay, that's the best word to use. From there, you can actually make it shorter or longer. And why? Once you know the pen, I know your pen. And if my solution can really solve your pen, trust me, 95% of people want to embrace it. The challenge why a sales cycle will end up being long, it's because of the contractual commitment that a lot of people have. Imagine today I'm supplying you with water to your office on a daily basis, right?
Yeah.
We have signed a contract for 2 years. And now, Gerard and Trent, they come to you, they're like, hey, Elisha, you know what? I'm going to solve your problem. You don't have to buy water from Milu. I can just give you a water purifier that will make your life easier and end up
saving you
getting
money,
the same water and all that.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do at the end of the day? You'll end up assessing the pro and cons, right? Our contract is like, if you cancel it today, regardless of how many remaining, you need to pay full. That's the number one, right? But the second one will be like, okay, buying X an item will cost me, let's say, $25,000. But I can survive with these items for the next 2 years or 5 years or 10 years. The second question will be like 25 with whatever amount that I need to pay to cancel this contract. Which one is more costful to me? Those are the questions that most of buyers in B2B actually ask themselves. Now, if the 25 equipment is less costful, or in a long run, because most of enterprise, they look into 5 years plan, when actually they're looking into buying anything, it's like 5 or 10 years, right? Now they'll be asking themselves, is it worth it as taking the cost? But that question will come once they know you understand properly their pain or their problem, and whatever you're giving them, gonna cure that thing permanent. Now, to answer your question, I wanted to give that context so people can really understand. But the most important or the best way to shorten a sales cycle is just to understand what are the challenges that your client are facing and if they're open for a new change.
If they're open
to a new
change. There
change.
needs to be a willingness to buy.
Of course.
Yeah.
I usually tell people, especially if you're working on enterprise, you're not a used car salesperson. You know what they call in the US used car salespeople?
Yeah.
They just want to sell today.
They just want to push.
Push, sell, and close the door.
Yeah.
But if you're selling something that enterprises truly need on a daily basis, then you need to be a good listener. And why is being a good listener going to help you and shorten the sales cycle? Because the client will open up. They'll show their challenge. They'll show you how they've been running their operation currently with their current setup. And then they'll show you what they expect out of whatever they're running.
Yeah.
And from there, then you start injecting slowly how your solution, because everyone wants a solution. And from there, the sales cycle become a bit shorter.
I don't disagree. I do have a question though that is contextual to Tanzania. Unajua bwana, Watanzania wana tabia kusema ndio au
hapana.
Hawasemi hapana. And this is the thing. Like Tanzanians don't say no. They either say yes or they beat around the bush. In instances like that, what do you do? Like you sold media, for instance, right? And advertising, where you could meet a few blunt people and they'd be like, hapana mwanangu, or at least not right now. But then there's a lot more people here. Nitumie proposal. Takurudia, ngoja kidogo bosi. Nakumbuka. Lakini hana mpango kabisa wa kununua. How do you overcome obstacles like that?
Kuna kitu kimoja ambacho mara nyingi hata leo nilikuwa nikizungumzia actually ofisini kwangu. Unapokuwa kuna jambo ulizungumzia pale leads generation. Hiyo tuna ili kugenerate leads kuna kitu ambacho tunaita prospecting. Prospecting ili uweze kufikia hatua hiyo ni kwamba unakuwa unaangalia watu wangapi wana fit your ideal client customer profile, kwa sababu kila mtu unakuwa na
customer profile
ICP wanaita watu wengi. Lazima uweze kuelewa leo ninapouza mahindi, nauza mahindi yangu Mikocheni, nawezaje kuya package vipi na watu wa aina gani nataka watu ambao ni wanunuzi kwangu. Shida kubwa ya watu wengi wanakuwa hawezi ku-identify au kuwa na a clear picture na watu ambao wanatakiwa kuwa wateja wao ni watu wa aina gani. Lakini kujibu swali lako ambao hii hapa ina kama add-on of what I'm going to talk about. Kuna kitu kimoja ambao unapofanya prospecting lazima ubuild kitu ambacho we call pipeline, ambao ni hizo leads and all that. Kwenye market nyingi conversion rate ya kwenye sales mara nyingi ukiona conversion rate ya 5%, that's quite high. You don't see that. Inamaanisha kwamba out of 10 people, at least tukisema labda una 10%, to assume kwamba utakuwa na conversion ya 10%. Inamaanisha kama your goal ni kuachieve 10 business, you need to talk with 1,000 business. Now, how do you survive? Kwenye swala la watu ambao nilikuwa mwanga sana hilo swala, utakaa you spend the whole day during your proposal and then mtu anabaki hata kukuambia kwamba we can't move with this, anaendelea kupiga chenga every day. So the best way that you need to do or to avoid that, first, you can't avoid a no in any sales au kupigwa chenga. That's part of the deal. I always tell people, but the only way that can really help you to overcome that and keep grinding every day is to build a strong pipeline. And how are you going to build a strong pipeline is actually by identifying your ideal customer profile. And from there, you build a vast, someone will say no today, tomorrow you replace them with a new one. And that's how you keep moving. But again, those rejection, because sometimes we get rejection, it's not just because people don't like us. Maybe you didn't show them what are your true value proposition.
Yeah.
Ndio inakuja swala la umuhimu. I always tell people, especially kwa sisi wa Tanzania wengi tunaamini ili uweze kuuza lazima ujuane na watu. Trust me, everyone anayekujaga kwangu kwenye sehemu naofanya kazi all skill that. Kwa sababu people, especially if you're dealing with businesses, a true businesses, tuache business zile ambao watu they run kiushikaji. No one will buy from you because I know you. People will buy from you because they see the value that your solution, either it's technologies, whatever, can bring into their day-to-day life. Simplify their life so that their team can be more productive and end up making more money at the end of the day. I don't know if I've answered your question. Like in Majeric, we break in a way that will be easier, but it can be a bit vast.
So you're saying, because the question was, culturally, context yetu. Watanzania hawasemagi hapana. Watanzania hawasemagi hapana. And how you avoid that is by what? Being strict with your ICP?
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying being straight. What I'm trying to say ni kwamba ukishaelewa your ideal client unaowataka, inabidi kwa sababu challenge kubwa inayotokea uliniuliza kwamba mtu akishakwambia no saizi, what do you do? Au anakuchenga. Of course, kuna multiple ambao unaweza kufanya. Lakini the best one, or what I'll call the effective way to do that, is actually, there's this controversial email that some of my team, they usually send to people. They'll be like, hey, I know your time is really important, so is mine. Is this something that you really want? Or would you open to have a chat? So from there, you know, if it's not something that is a top priority, kwa taasisi yao, you can move to the next one. And ndobani kana zungumzia umuhimu wa kubuild a strong pipeline. Kwa sababu ukishakuwa na a strong pipeline, wakati mwingine labda utakuwa aggressive, utakwambia now you'll move to the next one. And from the next one, by the time this person is ready, then you can solve unaweza kuwahudumia. Lakini in the meantime, I think it's really important kuelewa kama watu wanahitaji kitu or not. And it's not a crime. Mteja kuambia I don't need your product, it's okay.
Yeah.
Lakini pia kuambia they don't need your product, I think, especially while in tech, mara nyingi tunaenda kuuliza, hey, is there anything I could do to improve the product so that you can see my value prop zinafaa kwako? Lakini kwa context ya Tanzania, it can be controversial. Najua especially in the marketing, watu wengi wanatuzungushaga hizo kwa sababu wanahitaji zile kickback. Ambao in a real business, that's the very worst idea. If you can run your business kwa sababu ya watu utawapa kickback and then wakupe business, then surviving inakuja a question mark kwa sababu what if that person is changed, end up being removed tomorrow? Ndio maana the key is just to build a strong profile of your customer, build a vast one, and know it's okay. Know how to move to the next one. Kwa sababu the same effort ambao unaweza kutumia kwa mteja anayekuzungusha kusema no, unaweza kuitumia sehemu nyingine. Lakini pia ni kuelewa watu wengi wanasema no labda kwa sababu au kupresent the value kwa vizuri. Lakini pia value yako inawezekana inafanya kazi kwangu Elisha. But sio value nzuri kwa George.
There's something
so ni vitu kama hivyo mostly inakuwa that's the cause. Hakuna kitu ambacho utasema naweza kufanya ili kuchange no, kwa sababu you don't change no. Nilizungumzia kitu kimoja ambacho tulikuwa pale nikasema great sales people, good listeners. Good listeners ni kwa sababu unatakiwa uelewe matatizo. Na kama mtu ana matatizo kweli atahitaji msaada. Tukienda hospital tuna matatizo. So we need to change that narrative kwamba sales, it's a game of convincing. No.
It's not about convincing,
or manipulating people. It's not, because tukishasema kwamba saa hizi nitakuja mtu ashaniambia no and then maybe I want to convince that guy. That's manipulation. That's not sales. Sales is demonstrating value, but it doesn't mean the value will be relevant to all the people that will demonstrate. So getting no, kuna hizo no zingine ambazo you can't overcome. But kuna objection ambazo zinaweza katokea kwenye sales. Objection labda kutokana na a brand reputation iliyotokea in the past. Objection labda inatokana na ule mteja wako ambao unataka aje kutokana na some experience walopitia on your marketplace or whatever product that you're selling. That's something else. On how to end objection, that's something else. But it's quite different to a no, because nikishakwambia no, will you kill me? You can't. The next thing that you need to do, move to the next prospect, build a strong pipeline, make sure that this one say no's, you go to the next one, then understand your value. But if they object, then it's when you need to demonstrate the value.
To overcome the objection.
And there's actually multiple ways to overcome that. That we can actually, I can give more context probably later.
Yeah. I agree with you. I was in the process of trying to educate myself about sales. I learned something called the SW policy, which is basically some will, some won't, so what, someone else is waiting.
That's correct.
It helps you overcome the no's. Of course, it doesn't mean you should ignore the no's, because sometimes maybe you're getting a lot of no's because you're not presenting it well. But also, I think kwenye kipengele cha sales, nadhani, opinion, not a fact, nadhani, the person doing the selling sometimes puts unrealistic pressure on themselves. Wakati they should have been or could have been more strategic, for instance, by having a very healthy pipeline, by becoming very good at prospecting and pre-qualifying leads before you invest too much time, by not over-investing in a sale, because there's such a thing as over-investing in a sale, and then now you've put in 6 months and you can't even let it go because you're like, my 6 months need to become something. Can you tell me about a time when you were struggling with sales?
I have a couple, but I'll start with one. So around 2021, I told you the story, the company that I work for right now, I was doing ops, like 100% is like day-to-day operation, run number, you bring the Excel, just Excel and all that. And then when I moved to my current employer, it's the same group though, I used to have this guy. I used to have like 80% of my revenue used to come from one guy. And it was the time that the marketplace where I used to work, we have those, some of the metrics that we have is actually acceptance rate, finish rate. And once your finish rate or acceptance rate is not that great, it means you're fucked.
What's an acceptance rate and what's a finish rate?
So it means like, let's say today with distro, you own the marketplace, that is distro, right? Mm-hmm. By the time that someone press their order, distro accept, it means that you need to check if you're not using a third party, or let me just pick any, I'm trying to think here. Is
like a payment gateway, is that what you mean?
No, that's the finish rate, because I'm just trying. I don't want to mention a marketplace that will pay attention. Let's pick, for instance, let's say Bolt, right?
Yeah.
On our marketplace, on the marketplace of Bolt, the acceptance rate is by the time that you press an order, you need to find a supplier. A supplier in that case is the driver.
The driver, yeah.
The drivers has to accept that order. That's what we call acceptance rate.
Okay.
Now the finish rate, someone can accept something, but after accepting, it's either the party that wanted that thing will end up canceling, or the party that accepted will end up rejecting at the end of the day for multiple reasons. Now, coming back to our story, at that time, our finish rate was around 5 to 10%, meaning only one order could be completed in the marketplace, especially on the B2B side. And then imagine you have that guy who's giving you 80% of your revenue. But the guy...
And the guy was giving you 80% from a B2B?
From the B2B side, 80% of my revenue. And considering all those facts that I'm telling you, a low finish rate, no one could buy from you.
Is that because...
you have a low finish rate.
That
was like back then.
Back then, yes.
Back then, we used to have a challenge, Ambayo. For us to run a business on our end, for us to scale, it means we need to burn a lot of money. So we were using subsidies to grow the marketplace, right? And from that, our business model, the way it's worked, it's we collect a portion of the revenue that you get, a.k.a. commission, right?
Yeah.
Now, by the time that you want to scale, if you start collecting that commission, it means you start at a certain point. Now, how do you move? Wanasema, fuck commission. I'll just keep it to your balance. My debt threshold will be unlimited. You can owe me 10 million, I don't care. And now imagine today, you owe me 10 million and I end up giving you a card trip or a business trip. If you take it, it means I'll take that money. It won't end up coming into your pocket.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, that was like something like in the marketplace. Everyone was like a business. They couldn't come because they're like, hey, if I come on board, out of 10, only one will be accepted. If that's and now the
interesting challenge.
Yeah, and now the question to them, like, that will be, I mean, your solution will not be helping my problem for my people to be that are moving every day on business mobility because it's sensitive.
Yeah.
You are going to meet an executive today. You don't have to be late.
Yeah.
By that time, that client of mine was very disrespectful to one of the in-play. And that's actually one of the learning as well. A lot of people need to learn. People will always be the center of any business, regardless on how. And so by the time that he was very disrespectful to the team and all that, we decided to cancel the contract with the guy. And the next day, I'm like, I need to report to the so-called board, but it's not boards, because regardless on how you call board, a board can be your vice president probably. Maybe that's the board that you report to.
Anybody who keeps you accountable.
Accountable.
Yeah.
So I was like, what am I going to do? I had a brother of mine, Remy. Probably know him.
Yeah.
And on that, the next 2 weeks, we were like, hey, now we need to sell no matter what you do so that we can replace 80% of our revenue. It was a bit challenging. Trust me, I couldn't sleep for a couple of days, bro. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be fired the next week.
Only days? Only days? I would imagine it to be weeks.
Not sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking about sleeping at 3 a.m. every day.
Okay.
So it took us like 2 months to come back stronger. But trust me, if I can change something in my life, those days I'll trade with millions, because it was tough. It was tough because struggling with bringing a new client that will end up covering the 80% of revenue that I've lost. And mind you, the 80% I built it for over a year. So that was one. But the second one as well was around 2016 or 17, if I'm not mistaken. I used to work for IPP, and it was the time that SportPesa came to Tanzania. They actually launched SportPesa Super Cup, and they had to bring Everton in Tanzania. I don't know if you remember then. And the whole group, they said to us, like, you know what? We don't care where you came from. I mean, in terms of their entity, because they have like multiple entity, because IPP was actually somehow the media partner back then on that SportFesa Super Cup. They are the only one that got the right to broadcast that. I don't know if you remember. And they're like, hey, we need you guys to sell, to sponsor, because it's a Super Cup and all that. And otherwise, you guys will be in trouble. It was a bit challenging.
So to sell what? Ad space?
Yeah, ad space for the sponsorship of that Super Cup.
So.
It was a bit challenging for a couple of moments, stressful, but I ended up overcoming it.
How?
Actually, that was the time that I met with the VP, our president right now. She was the VP, because once you become the top sales guy, that's actually unlocked access to go to that Everton Gala dinner. How did I overcome that? It was pretty simple, man. I have this strategy that I use, and even I use it to my team. I always tell them, like, no matter how good you are, you need to be resilient. And how resilient can you become in sales? Make sure that you're well disciplined to a level where you'll understand each enterprises or each client need on a particular reason. No, on a particular season, sorry. So around that time, what I did was trying to go back to the basics. There's this thing that I usually call basics in sales, like pick up the phone. A lot of people don't like doing cold calling, right? And it's quite challenging. That's a topic we can talk for some other time, but it's a well rewarding if you know how
to do cold calling.
So what I did after struggling for like 2-3 weeks, it was like a month without any sales. And I really wanted to meet the vice president, but that was a motivation for me. And I was like, what can I do? Trust me, bro. It was 4 weeks of cold calling until the 5th week. I end up closing one of the entity that I can't mention, and they become one of our sponsors. But how did I do that? Was actually trying to bring the value that Everton can actually bring to them. The value that, listen, all the local top tier football club will be part of this, and demonstrating that to them. And that was actually what unlocked it. But it was actually a lot of sleepless nights, because you need to do a lot of research, understanding which angle will make X enterprises heart a bit soft so that they can really see the value. So I think those are the hardest moment. Any other moment that I can remember? Yes, of course. I have another one in 2022. And this one is quite challenging, actually, because it was a new market. So we used to run our operation in North Africa is in franchise model. Franchise meaning kwamba mtu anatulipa fee, tunampa license and all that.
And then they operate.
They operate wanatulipa ile. And then in 2022 tukaamua, fuck it, let's take over, let's be principal. And mind you, all of us that we decided that, I mean, the principal had no knowledge about the North African market. And I ended up being in charge of North Africa. I mean, one of the country that I don't know. The country that the language that we speak is not the same. The culture is quite different. So it was like a series that I tried to reach out for a couple of people, and it didn't work. And I was like, should I just go now to the board, a.k.a. the boss, and tell them, like, you know what, mate, thank you, but this opportunity is not for me. No. It took us like around 6 or 7 months to struggle with that. But the most important thing that we did was learning the dynamics of that market. What kind of things people from that market truly need from us. But the bottom line that we did was actually equipping with our team with some really amazing tools that could really help all the prospecting, as you said, lead and all that. And after 6 months, we unlocked that market. It's too bad right now we're not operating there anymore. But it was really, really an amazing challenge that I faced. But of course, if you're a good sales guy, you need to overcome all the challenge and bring on the revenue. And that's what we usually do.
You just, the way you were talking, it's like somebody would have done this. But anyway, I can relate with two of those. Mm-hmm. I can relate with the first challenge because what you had, the 80% of your revenue type of client, in our space, we call it a client concentration problem. And a client concentration problem can be a blessing or a curse. Blessing how? You look at firms like Ogilvy. Ogilvy grew because of a client concentration problem. They got one client, the client was really, really big, the client liked the work, they were really, really synergized, and that client went to every single market with them. Just like that, Ogilvy became global. But now the challenge of a client concentration problem is if you lose the client, you're fucked. Is if you don't retain a certain level of a healthy professional relationship with the client, kunakuwa kuna mazoea, kunakuwa kuna kutukanana, kunakuwa kuna mistreatment, etc., etc., etc. So what you had was a client concentration problem, at least if it was in my, that's what we'd call it. And one of the things that we're learning is, hey, if you have a client concentration problem, you know what you should do? Get another client that's the same size. And then another one and another one. And then you don't have a client concentration problem. You just have 4 same size clients. Or figure out how to let go of the client concentration problem as quickly as possible by replacing them. At least that's what we try to do, which I thought was very, very fascinating because at the same time, there are some people you meet and some books you read, and they tell you that, 80% of your revenue will come from 20% of nini. But 20% is not a concentration. 1% is a concentration. Una mteja mmoja ambaye ndo payroll, ndo kila kitu hizi zingine ni change. But I also resonate with the third challenge, and which brings me to one more question I'd like to ask you, being that it's something you've actually had practical experience, not just theoretical. Tanzania is a very unique market. So I'm going to talk about Tanzania and then I'm going to ask you the question. Tanzania is a very unique market and it's very special. Tanzania is such a special market across many, many important industries. Telecom. Tanzania, unlike Kenya, Kenya has a monopoly. There's no monopoly in Tanzania kwenye MNOs. Tigo, Voda, Nani. Ni mix, Mix, Voda, Nani. Wana compete. No, wote wanaka market share flani hivi. Ukiangalia beverages, SBL, TBL. There's friction. We have a lot of competition here. But at the same time, Tanzania is one of those markets where if you do not enter correct, you do not survive, let alone thrive. Being as somebody who was one of the earlier team players of a global business that entered Tanzania, but then thereafter also being as somebody who has had an opportunity to see what market penetration, especially when you say mambo hujui kabisa ikoje. What are the do's and don'ts, especially the do's and don'ts that people tend to oversee, and as a result mess up, lose money, and have to exit as quickly as they came in? Every once in a while, tunapokea feedback kwamba podcast yetu ni ngumu kumeza. Ila sasa, tunafanyaje? Maana uhalisia wa stories za watu waliofanikiwa, ukiangalia na ukidadisi na ukiwauliza maswali mazuri, unagundua kwamba it wasn't easy. Kuna ugumu ndani yake, kuna sacrifices ndani yake. Na ndio maana tunaendelea kukukaribisha kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure.
That's an interesting point, but it can be controversial, my point of view, actually. But there's one point that you said, I want to add that and then I'll come to your point. You said about being too friendly with customer, you end up mnatukanana, mnafanya nini. There's this one amazing quote that I usually use. Don't be friends, or don't make friends or enemies in business. And why? Ukishaanza kufanya business na watu kwa kufikiria kwa sababu ni rafiki zako, you'll mess up kwa sababu of the friendship. Utakuwa hata kuna vitu ambavyo they don't make sense, but because of the friendship, vitakupita hapa
Yeah.
on your nose.
Yeah.
Lakini pia ukishaanza kuwachukulia watu kama enemies na you're in a business, there'll be even hata zile point ambazo you could have learned from them or vitu ambavyo vingeweza kusaidia kuimprove. You won't see them kwa sababu in your mind unaona kama enemies. So I think it's really important for everyone running a business. I'm not good at making friends myself, I know. But the only thing that make me excel in anything that I do is because I know ukikutana na mtu mna link up vizuri, unampa value, anakupa value, the next day ukiwa na kitu utamcheck, but you don't build that friendship. It doesn't mean you shouldn't hang out and have a beer and all do that. Now, coming to your question, there are actually two things that are really important in running any business. And I always tell people, clients wanahitaji vitu viwili tu. In any market that you go in the world, people want a better deal and an amazing product.
A better deal?
An amazing product.
And an amazing product.
Now, what do I mean by a better deal? Leo hii, unahitaji uweze kupata tuseme labda dakika 1200. I love Vodacom though. Mimi, I love Vodacom kwa sababu naweza nikaenda Vodacom, they'll give me a better deal with a Pumi. Wananipa 1200 minute that I can make in 30 days. I can call people.
Okay.
I hope you won't cut that part of Vodacom. Yeah. So I can get like tons of message. When I'm abroad, I can even labda tuseme watanipa offer labda 50% off. Nikituma hela labda Kenya wananipa dakika 5. Hey, wapigia watu leo tumia hela.
Yeah.
A better deal, it's something that will make your customer embrace your product. Embrace whatever you're giving to them. Uzuri uko kwenye marketing, kwenye field, there is something that we call brand affinity. So the affinity, to reach that affinity level, you need, some people will use subsidies to create that brand affinity kwa watu wao, kwa wateja wao. Lakini pia the whole journey, na mfano ambao labda naweza nikautoa kwenye the global brand ambao tulikuwa tukifanya miaka 3 wa mwanzo, kuna watu walikuwa naambiwa chukua trip 5 bure. That's a better deal. People want a better deal. I don't want to spend, if I have 10,000 today.
Yeah. I want to retain as much of it as possible.
If I can spend 5 and keep the 5 in my pocket, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
But a better deal won't make you win a market or succeed at the end of the day if you don't have an amazing product.
Okay.
So a lot of people, and I have one of some of the company in my field, walikujaga Tanzania, they wakarun, wakachafua mji mzima, washafanyaga nini. But at the end of the day, product yako ina fit that particular market. Ni muhimu sana kwa sababu leo unaweza ukanipa a deal. Milu, Njoo Naked will create a concept for you for the next 2 years. Fine, I'll come. That's a better deal for me. But whatever outcome or itatokana ile product, whatever will create, itanipa value at the end of the day. Or is it like the UX mfano, labda the user experience of Naked app? Is it friendly? So kuna all those elements, ndo maana kuna better deal na product. That's one, but another thing that is really important as well. Nimekuambia ni tulistruggle kule kwa sababu we thought the way we run our things anywhere else in the world, we can run that. So that's an add-on that I can add. Understanding the market dynamics is very key as well. Because ukishaelewa the market dynamics, and now you see, I do this on a global level. How can I integrate this to match what is actually needed on a local context here? And that's how you kill.
So having like a local approach, global but local.
Approach. Your local approach, sometimes you customize based on the customer's need. Without losing that original touch of yours. So, this is my touch. But in this market, I can use this touch and blend it with something that is local, and wow.
I like that. Customize based on the customer's need.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you. Thank you, Kipimo. Milu.
I'm here, bro.
So we have a segment in Aitwa Nje Box. And basically what we want to do is step out a little bit from the conversation we're having and really, really zoom in on one topic. Okay. Today, we want to talk about sales. And specifically, we want to talk about two things. One, what are the myths and misconceptions about sales that you're aware of and that other people should be wary of? Yani, kuwa mwangalifu. For instance, something you said earlier, sales is not persuasion, sales is not manipulation, sales is da-da-da-da. So, one, what are the myths? If you just can give us a couple. And two, what are the basics? Sometimes we overthink these things and we get scary, and they get scary or we get scared kwa sababu tunaona kama ni kitu fulani kikubwa. Unakutana na mtu kuna mtu napiga naye story juzi tu, ni ndugu yangu, ni mdogo wangu, anauza beauty products mtandaoni. She has a TikTok account na anatengeneza content vizuri kinoma. Na kwenye content anazotengeneza, she's technically doing sales. And I'm like, unapataje wateja kwenye hizi video? Mimi napata video, nikamwambia unajua kufanya sales. Mimi sipendi kufanya sales. What do you think you're doing here? You think you're a content marketer? This is not marketing. You're actually selling. Na ndio maana unapata wateja. So we'd like to talk about those two things. One, what are the common misconceptions about sales that you've seen and heard? And two, what are the basics? The things that you have to know, regardless of how complicated or simple the product that you're selling is.
Swali nzuri. I'm just trying to think hapa. A couple of months ago, I was talking to a friend, and akaniambia, you're trying to be a salesperson to me. And I was like, what do you mean? The answer was like, I'm lying to them. And I was like, so you have that illusion in your head, like a salespeople
is a liar.
Is a liar. It's really sad because I make a living from sales, right? None of my clients, you've known, like even yourself, there was a time you used to be my client 8-9 years ago. I don't like clients.
Hell, I'm your client now.
Yeah, you're a client. Yeah, even now. Yes, of course. Naked is one of our clients. And I don't lie to clients. But there are just a few people that probably went out there and ended up positioning themselves as salespeople that were lying to people. And that actually came from the Wall Street. You know, we'll talk about sales, whatever we do right now in our market, but the source of sales is actually North America. When you go to the Wall Street, they're actually those people wake up in the morning, selling, looking at how the market will react. So we are talking about NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange. But again, all those brokers, they have salespeople in their office making call to convince investors to invest either through their brokerage firm or through hedge fund and all that, and they'll sell fake promise. It'll be like, you know what, man, there's this thing will be listed today. The IPO is nice trick. Invest 100 million today or invest 100K, and I can guarantee you in the next 2 months, you're going to get like $500,000 from 100K. Can that happen? Yes. But in most cases, even stocks are volatile in a certain point. If you're a client today and I called you and I told you, like, you know what, invest 100K through my hedge fund or through our brokerage firm, and you end up not getting that, you'll think like, fuck all those salespeople. They can't really, whatever they sell to you, it will not going to happen. So that's a big misconception about salespeople. But the second one as well, it's about thinking like about salespeople are not people who don't have any other skill set. I don't know if you've met that. There are people, like when you tell them like you work in sales, they think like you're just a guy who have failed in any other field. Like who have failed in any other field, and they have even that assumption like all the salespeople are poor. Because watu wanaopitaga mtaani, especially in our market, wala wanauza zile basket, zimejaa sabuni na nini. But on the opposite, salespeople are the richest people in the world. If you go to there in the US, I'm telling you, there are salespeople that are making $3 million per annum, $5 million. There are salespeople that are making more than their CEO because you eat what you kill. So I think it's really important. That's one misconception that I have. You eat what you kill. You're a great salespeople. Even in Tanzania, I have a couple of salespeople from my team that are making tens of millions in a month, not like in a year. They're making good money than some of the executive in town. Now, speaking about the basics, they have this assumption like, hey, for you to be a great sales person, you need to be like extravagant. You need to be like very good extrovert. You need to be talking too much. That's bullshit and crap. And for the following reason, I'll tell you. I was telling you as well there, like, hey, great salespeople, they're not talkative at all. Those are the basics. You need to listen. Unless you are selling at McDonald's or KFC, with all due respect. But if you're really, really selling something that want to bring change to someone's life, you need to, the number one basics is to listen. Because how can you solve someone's problem if you don't know their problem? You can't. You need to understand their problem first. But again, there's this thing that a lot of people, when you're talking about basics, they'll always run away. It's actually picking calls. I told you on that.
Cold calling.
Yeah, cold calling. You'll talk to 100 people and some people will be even rude to you. That's part of the deal. So I always tell people, if you can't succeed in sales, it means you'll end up struggling. And most of executives in the world have a background in revenue generation. Most of executives, you'll find like most of top CEO, they were at a certain point maybe doing sales, doing business dev. That's what is actually needed for every business. And they know that you need to use it as a fuel to excel, to go to the next level. So the basics that are really important for anyone that is actually willing to join into sales, number one thing, be a good listener. Because once you're a good listener, it means you'll end up killing a lot and you'll eat a lot. Remember, you eat what you kill. The second thing that you need to have as well is having a big heart to solve people's problem. Because of this misconception of like sales is like just, you go, you grab, you lie, you steal from people. That's not sales. Sales, it's about solving people's problem. Helping them to understand whatever you're selling to them. But the basics that are really important as well, because if you want to become an entrepreneur today, you need to be able to pick the calls and demonstrate whatever you have to your people. But just to finish up on those basics that I think are really important, sales is not a rocket science. Elisha was telling me that it's no rocket science. One thing that you need to do right now, you need to understand. For instance, I'm in tech sales, where we are talking, that's where the world is going right now. The tech sales, bro, we always brag like we make money than a traditional company's CEO, right? But it's not the case. But if you really want to join this part, make sure that you understand the basics, especially when it comes to the product or the industry that's where you want to go in. Each industry has its own specific needs. But you can start from slow. Go to those networking events. If you're on entry level, that's a must. Meet people, talk to people, understand how the etiquette of exchanging idea with people. But again, one thing that you need to understand in this life, everyone has a problem. And once you have such a mindset, you'll go and kill it in sales. Because trust me, nothing is rewarding than solving someone else's problem. And that sells. So I don't know if I've answered your question, sir.
You have, Kipimo. Asante sana, umetubless. Karibu tena Msasani.
Asante sana. Thank you for having me, bro. And keep watching.
Well done. Well done.
Thanks, man.
You've got immediate benefits. Every once in a while, tunapokea feedback kwamba podcast yetu ni ngumu kumeza. Ila sasa,
Tunafanyaje? Maana uhalisia wa stories za watu waliofanikiwa, ukiangalia na ukidadisi na ukiwauliza maswali mazuri, unagundua kwamba it wasn't easy. Kuna ugumu ndani yake, kuna sacrifices ndani yake. Na ndio maana tunaendelea kukukaribisha kwenye MSASA, where we talk to successful people about failure.